Diane goes on her first blind date 3 years after her divorce. But the moment she saw the man in front of her, her heart sank. He was not only older and unattractive, but also very short, barely reaching 1.4 meters. The Prince Charming she imagined turned out to be an ordinary-looking man with a tired face. Diane couldn't hide her disappointment, but she forced a smile to avoid making him feel uncomfortable. The man immediately noticed her reaction, but he wasn't upset. Instead, he joked about their height difference with a good sense of humor. He humorously jokes about their height difference, making Diane laugh and easing the awkwardness. The man invited Diane out again and promised her an exciting experience. Diane couldn't accept the idea of being with someone so different from what she expected, so she was about to politely decline. But before she could say anything, a beautiful woman suddenly approached and greeted the man warmly. They seemed so close, almost like a couple. This surprised Diane and made her curious about him. Then something even more shocking happened. With just one phone call, the man arranged for a private plane to pick them up. Driven by curiosity, Diane agreed to go with him. Soon, they were thousands of meters in the air. Before she could fully prepare herself, Alexandra jumped out of the plane with her. Gravity pulled them down at high speed, and she instinctively clung to him. Eventually, the parachute opened and they landed safely. Diane had never felt anything so thrilling before. It was like being reborn. From that moment, she found herself deeply attracted to Alexandra despite his height. She would randomly smile while eating and get distracted while working. One day, she finally gave in and called him. When Alexandra saw her name on his phone, he was overjoyed. He decided to take Diane to his secret spot. They arrived at an old dock warehouse, where Alexandra led her to a mysterious door at the back. After saying a secret phrase, the door opened to reveal a lively themed restaurant. Alexandra explained that the restaurant was owned by a shipping tycoon, and every day, different chefs from around the world would cook there. Because Alexandra was good friends with the owner's wife, they got a table right away. As they ate, they exchanged jokes. Seeing Alexandra laugh so hard that he couldn't close his mouth made Diane feel incredibly happy. They continued talking and laughing, and without realizing it, a spark of love grew between them. When it was time to leave, Diane looked at Alexandra, so confident and mature. She felt an unfamiliar warmth in her heart. Without thinking, she leaned in and kissed him. From that day on, they started dating frequently. They danced in the middle of the dance floor, took relaxing walks by the sea, and as their feelings deepened, they soon became intimate. Everything seemed perfect, but an unexpected situation changed things. One day, while Diane was on a date with Alexandra, she accidentally ran into her ex-husband, Bruno. When Bruno saw the short man sitting in Diane's car, he was completely stunned. He never imagined that his ex-wife would be dating someone like Alexandra. Although Bruno and Diane had been divorced for 3 years, they still ran a law firm together. Over the years, Bruno had considered getting back together with her, but Diane had always refused. Now, knowing that she had chosen a man like Alexandra over him made Bruno furious. Using work as an excuse, Bruno called Diane to meet. But during their conversation, he kept making sarcastic remarks, even mocking her by calling her Snow White. This made Diane so angry that they ended up in a heated argument. However, Bruno's words did not shake her feelings for Alexandra. Instead, they strengthened her determination to be with him. Realizing that she had never given Alexandra a gift, Diane decided to buy him a piece of clothing. But after searching several stores, she couldn't find anything in his size. With no other option, she went to a children's clothing store and bought a sweater. The shopkeeper recommended it, and Diane thought it looked nice. When Alexandra received the gift, he was happy. But that sweater would soon become the reason for their breakup. Alexandra smiled as he received the sweater, but a brief look of disappointment flashed across his face. Deep inside, he still struggled with insecurity about his height. Even though he was wealthy and successful in his career, he couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty when it came to relationships. That night, he couldn't hold back his thoughts and asked Diane a question. To reassure Alexandra, Diane decided to introduce him to her parents. His humor and charm quickly won over her mother, who couldn't stop laughing at his jokes. Even her father, who had a hearing impairment, developed a liking for him. However, Alexandra's short stature still attracted whispers from the people around them. Diane usually didn't care about such things, but for some reason that night, she felt unusually sensitive and irritated. Alexandra noticed something was wrong. He was a man who could pick up on the smallest details. Diane admitted that she did care about his height because it was impossible to ignore. No matter how much she tried, she always had to be cautious and aware of it. But she was truly happy with him and was determined to overcome these feelings and continue their relationship. Their love, however, was destined to face many obstacles. The next day, Alexandra showed up at Diane's law firm unexpectedly. Her colleague Marie was thrilled to see him, treating him with curiosity as if he were someone unusual they had never encountered before. But when Bruno, Diane's ex-husband, saw Alexandra, he spoke to him disrespectfully and made hurtful remarks about his height, mocking Diane's choice in partners. Diane stood by Alexandra's side firmly, but his words still affected her. Even later, while watching a comedy movie, she couldn't laugh. The once lively scenes now felt dull and lifeless. Alexandra noticed her gloomy expression. Seeing her in such low spirits made him feel uneasy. His height was like a thorn that neither of them could ignore. But what could he do? He had no control over how he was born. Determined to put an end to Bruno's interference, Alexandra confronted him the next day. He issued a serious warning, making it clear that he wouldn't tolerate any more trouble. The tension between them immediately escalated, and they were on the verge of a fight in the middle of the street. Onlookers urged them to move their cars, so Bruno eventually backed down. But just as he was about to leave, Alexandra followed up with another remark. Bruno was confused. He couldn't understand how this short man carried himself with such confidence. Then, as he drove past Alexandra's massive villa, he suddenly realized the truth. He finally understood why Alexandra held his head high. It wasn't just about wealth. It was about the strength and determination that got him there. For the first time, Bruno saw Alexandra in a new light. He knew how hard it was for any man to succeed in the world. Earning that level of achievement was no small feat. Letting go of his pride, he decided to stop interfering in Diane's relationship. The next day, Diane told her mother that she and Alexandra were officially together and that she wanted to marry him. Her mother was so shocked that she lost focus and accidentally drove into oncoming traffic. Alarmed, Diane quickly tried to calm her down, explaining that Alexandra was no different from other men. To her, he was even greater than most. Hearing this, her mother slammed the brakes just in time, narrowly avoiding an accident. Though it took her a while to process, she eventually chose to respect Diane's decision. With that, all barriers between Diane and Alexandra seemed to disappear. Just when Diane thought everything was finally falling into place, something unexpected happened. While Alexandra stepped away to buy ice cream, Diane ran into the woman from the children's clothing store. The woman casually asked if the sweater she bought for her son fit well. The sudden question left Diane completely speechless. Right at that moment, Alexandra returned and overheard everything. He looked at Diane, then at the store owner's son, who was wearing the exact same sweater. An awkward silence filled the air. Alexandra's expression changed. He felt a deep embarrassment that cut straight to his core. That small incident became the final straw that broke their relationship. That night at home, Diane was furious. Alexandra, however, remained calm. He had faced discrimination so many times that he was used to it. He knew Diane was struggling internally. He also realized that despite their feelings for each other, they might not be a good match. Alexandra didn't want Diane to spend her future trapped in pain and self-doubt. He made a difficult decision and broke up with her. After Diane left, Alexandra stood by the door in silence, lost in thought. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't change the outcome of the story. Diane wasn't doing any better. She had believed she could rise above people's judgments, but when she faced their whispers and stares, she lost her courage. She felt like a soldier who had run away from battle. The next day, Alexandra met his son and asked how he felt about his father's height. His son admitted that, as a child, it used to bother him. But as he grew older, he started to understand and even admire his father. To him, Alexander wasn't just a talented architect, he was a responsible and honorable man. Hearing this comforted Alexandra. But the pain of losing Diane still weighed on him. Diane felt the same way. Life without Alexandra felt dull and empty. She slowly realized how much he meant to her. After spending the whole night thinking, she gathered her courage and went to his house. Instead of Alexandra, she found his son. He told her that Alexandra had gone out of town and asked her to stay away. He didn't want to see his father get hurt again. Diane left feeling defeated. She returned to her office, where her assistant, upon hearing what happened, had a different opinion. Diane sat in regret, blaming herself for letting fear ruin something so precious. As she sank into sadness, her mother walked in. After hearing everything, she urged Diane to go after Alexandra before it was too late. Diane boarded a plane and flew to Alexandra's location. This time, she jumped alone from a great height without anyone by her side. She finally conquered her fear. She realized that true smallness was not about height. It was about having a weak heart. As her parachute carried her gently downward, she landed at the construction site Alexandra was overseeing. In front of all the workers, she looked Alexandra in the eyes and confessed her feelings. Love is not what the eyes see, but what the heart feels. It lights the soul and turns the ordinary into something extraordinary.